listening to LYNC Radio. I'm Jessica Eturralde. In today's episode, we'll look back to recent multi-faith developments in the Czech Republic, ongoing progress for interreligious engagement in Kazakhstan, and last but certainly not least, we'll peek at an extended interview LYNC conducted with Dr. Eva Witesman, who shares how corporations are contributing to communities beyond financial support. Coming up after this. Want to dive deeper into the world of religious freedom building and helping marginalized communities? Then don't miss our new video program, LYNC Interview.
Every religion is a persecuted minority somewhere.
In every episode, we bring you stories and insights from the experts making a difference.
We like to think about religious persecution as some problem that's over in Asia or the Middle East. It's not in Europe, it's not in America. But here's the simple truth, we're all human.
Join me, Jessica Eturralde, as I sit down with inspiring voices from around the world working in religious freedom building.
The main lesson for mainstream society would be to think twice before assuming that religious radicals are necessarily a problem for social flourishing and stability.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel or visit lyncommunity.org and click on the Media tab.
When we support international religious freedom, we are not just upholding a principle. We are protecting our interests, our security, and our values.
I'm not loving my neighbor unless I love them in a language and logic that they understand.
Catch every episode of LYNC Interview. Get inspired, get involved, and together, let's foster more cohesive and safe societies. Beginning our program, we turn our attention to the beautiful city of Prague in the Czech Republic, where a groundbreaking multi-faith conference unfolded last month. In collaboration with Czech Ambassador Robert Rehak, who is also the chair of the Article 18 Alliance, this special intercultural and multi-faith conference brought together voices from around the world to tackle critical issues of religious freedom, peacebuilding, and countering radical ideologies. In partnership with Ambassador Rehak, the program titled Intercultural and Interfaith Dialogue, Freedom of Religion or Belief to Build Peace and Counter Islamophobia and Radical Ideologies, was organized by Love Your Neighbor Community, the IRF Secretariat, and Templeton Religion Trust. From November 12th to the 15th, the historic city of Prague became a hub for multi-faith dialogue, strategy, and hope, as this program brought together global leaders, civil society organizations, and policymakers under the theme of building peace and countering Islamophobia and radical ideologies. The event kicked off with the IRF Secretariat hosting a hybrid international religious freedom roundtable at Charles University, followed by a welcome reception at the Alchemist Grand Hotel, setting the stage for transformative dialogue and connections. The heart of the program featured the Intercultural and Multi-Faith Conference held at the Cernan Palace, hosted by the Czech Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Here, panels explored how freedom of religion or belief can counter radical ideologies and foster peace. Speakers highlighted the role of inclusive policies in mitigating extremism and emphasized the importance of multi-religious cooperation. Among the key messages was a call to move beyond words to concrete actions, as underscored by Ambassador Rehak, who highlighted the document on human fraternity issued in February 2019. The document calls on global leaders to foster tolerance, end violence, and address pressing issues like war, environmental decay, and cultural decline.
I would like just to remind you this document on human fraternity was issued in February 2019. Since then, the landscape has got worse.
Rehak said the global landscape has deteriorated since its release, with events such as the war in Ukraine, rising Islamophobia, and increasing anti Semitism, underscoring the urgency of its message. Rehak emphasized the responsibility to uphold respect, counter extremism, and protect vulnerable communities, while urging collective action to build a more peaceful and inclusive world. There were many notable and honorable panelists who provided perspective, education, and further insight, too many to mention here in our brief program and keep the integrity of their message intact, but I will list a few highlights, beginning with Egyptian scholar and interfaith dialogue practitioner Mohammed Mossad Abdelaziz Mohammed, who stressed the importance of engaging individuals from all perspectives, including those with radical views, in dialogue. He shared a powerful story about a radical Muslim who initially resisted dialogue with a Jewish settler, but through open conversation, formed a meaningful connection, even calling her sister. Mohammed emphasized that limiting discussion solely to conflict prevents deeper understanding and that exploring personal, spiritual, and social dimensions builds trust and reduces tensions. He argued for inviting radicals into dialogue, stating that peace cannot be achieved without addressing those directly involved in conflict.
So sometimes we take dialogue very lightly without understanding that it's one of the most difficult, transformative experiences when you lay yourself out there, honestly, open, exposed, vulnerable, and willing to let the other person do the same thing and listen with an open heart, not only with minds that taking notes and how can I argue against this and how can I refute this and I will bring more statistics but really lay yourself out there, listen carefully, understand that maybe he's a bad person, but maybe he's not. Maybe he's just a father who wakes up like all of us in the morning, thinking about work, about buying lunch on his way back, thinking about his kids. And let's really listen to the other story. And when we do this, we are going forward.
Mohammed shared a poignant reflection from the post-conflict experiences in the former Yugoslavia, highlighting the deeper challenges of rebuilding trust.
The first meeting for all the fighting people who fought in former Yugoslavia. And we brought all of them in one room. And we were happy that we can bring them in one room and they can talk about the problem. But we were missing something. And when I took a taxi and I talked with the taxi driver, he taught me what we were missing. He said, it's none about this. It's not about interpretation. It's none about this. And he said, the only thing that terrifies me until today is that I had my neighbor who was a Serb. We used to be neighbors. We used to be friends. My kids were raised in his house. His kids were raised in my house. Until now, I don't understand how it comes that one morning he was standing at my door in a uniform, carrying a Kalashnikov, asking us to leave the house and threatening us that if we don't leave, he will rape my wife. And this I could not overcome. I will never overcome. And so I realized that after a long conflict, what's missing is not about dialogue, it's not about understanding. It's about something deeper. It's about trusting the person who will be your neighbor, who will share your life. I think this will take a long time.
The story underscored that while dialogue and understanding are important, the real challenge lies in rebuilding trust between individuals who must live side by side after deep betrayals. Achieving this level of reconciliation often takes generations and requires two key approaches: effective crisis management to address immediate conflicts and fostering a long-term commitment to coexistence. The goal is not to erase differences, but to create a framework where differences are acknowledged and trust allows for peaceful cohabitation despite them. Also speaking was Hanna Bindkowski, program director of the Jerusalem Center for Jewish-Christian Relations, who spoke from her perspective as an Israeli, reflecting on the difficulty of discussing peace amidst ongoing suffering and conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. She emphasized the importance of integrity in her approach, choosing not to rely on Scripture to define Judaism as inherently peaceful, given how religious texts are often misused to justify violence. Instead, she said she finds hope in the Jewish concept of tikkun olam, which means repairing the world, a rabbinical idea rooted in acts of justice, fraternity, and charity. Evolving over time, especially through liberal Jewish interpretations in the United States, this concept highlights the responsibility of both individuals and communities to contribute to a more just, fair, and equal world.
Repairing the world, it doesn't mean that everyone has to be like me. It doesn't mean that people are broken and I have to repair them. It's something about us as human that need to be repaired. And this is each and every one's responsibility to repair it. And we have to fight for justice and for equality and to help the weak and the people in need and to give charity and to have compassion, human compassion, and developed compassion for other people.
Also of note, when asked about interfaith developments in Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Al Mahfoud bin Bayah explained that the United Arab Emirates House of Religions, called the Abrahamic Family House, is not a new religion, but a shared educational and multi-faith space featuring a synagogue, church, and mosque. In this space, people can meet and learn together while maintaining distinct religious practices.
So when we started the Abrahamic Family House, it was a big step. Until now, we don't have a lot of scholars agree for that house to exist, but we believe in it, and we don't find anything in our religion be against it, since it's not a new religion. It's not a religion called Abrahamic religion. It's a Abrahamic family house. So you need to divide and to be clear about this, because what they're saying, they say, oh, UAE, they have a new religion. No, it's not a new religion. It's a three religion, they have a space. Each one of them separate. So they pray not together, but they meet in the other space together. So what's wrong in that?
Sheikh bin Bayah emphasized the need for resilience in the face of criticism and misunderstanding, noting that societal acceptance takes time, but ultimately comes with clarity and patience. The conference wasn't just about discussions, it was also about action. IRF Secretariat CEO Greg Mitchell addressed moving forward following the program with a summary of conclusions and an update on future plans.
I just want to recap on what we heard today, some key practical takeaways as we prepare to go back home from this great event. These are some of the things that I took note of, borrowing from the words of speakers from today. Like, we must move beyond words to plans and actions. We're talking about how we should be a collective that works together. These common themes from speakers about pulling together and working together, all of us prisoners of hope, seeking to build peace, a whole of society effort. These are the things that are needed. Building collaborative networks to do more and to do more effectively. Multi-religious cooperation and alliances. Collaboration between civil society and governments, top down, bottom up. Radical inclusiveness and key strategies. And then we heard about a lot of good programs that are working out there to bring people of all faiths and beliefs together. And again, build these collaborative networks and collaborative efforts. So looking ahead at the future, I just want to close with what can we do from here?
Mitchell emphasized the importance of global collaboration to promote peace building and multi-faith engagement, announcing a series of upcoming events over the next 15 months to catalyze regional centers focused on multi-civilizational and multi-sector actions. These centers will support initiatives like religious freedom roundtables, cross-cultural literacy, and economic empowerment programs tailored to regional needs, with partnerships driving their execution. Mitchell invited all attendees to join these collaborative efforts and work together toward a shared vision for the future. After Mitchell, Ambassador Rehak encouraged attendees to take what they had heard and learned to foster dialogue and social cohesion.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really honored and pleased that you came. And please don't go back and don't close yourself back in your safe spaces. Take something from Prague's heritage from the openness, dialogue, understanding, tolerance, and common goal to fight all kinds of hatreds and try to restore peace.
The final day of the program focused on strategy sessions and next steps. Leaders discussed creating regional centers to promote religious literacy, peace building, and economic empowerment, emphasizing grassroots and collaborative efforts. The Prague event demonstrated that collaboration across faiths, governments, and civil society isn't just a possibility, it's a necessity. As participants heard throughout the week, building peace requires radical inclusiveness, grassroots action, and a shared commitment to hope. Again, these are just a few highlights from the program. Nearly 6 hours of footage capturing the discussions mentioned and so much more are available on the Česká křesťanská Academy YouTube page. I'll add a link to the video in the show notes. Also note that the first few minutes of the recording has breakup in audio connection, but if you persevere or fast forward a few minutes, the audio stabilizes and you will benefit from tuning in to these panels. Coming up next, more developments in Kazakhstan as the country continues to foster multi-faith dialogue and social cohesion. One of those developments is a recent delegation which led them to Prague, thanks to Ambassador Rehak's invitation. And still to come, a professor proposes that businesses want to and should be involved in conversations on religious freedom, and they have more to offer than just their money. More after this quick break. Jessica Eturralde here, giving you a quick reminder that if you're enjoying this program, please like and subscribe and share this with someone you know. Together, we can expand the conversation on building religious freedom, fostering social cohesion, and supporting the marginalized. As we reflect on the impactful discussions and collaborations from the Prague event, we now shift our focus to another significant development in Prague, Kazakhstan's efforts in advancing multi-faith dialogue. Prior to the event, LYNC CEO Wade Cusack and LYNC Senior Fellow Dr. Chris Seipel was honored to join Ambassador Rehak in welcoming a distinguished delegation from Kazakhstan at Cernin Palace, which is the home of the Czech Republic's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Also in attendance were Greg Mitchell and Nadine Mayenza from the IRF Secretariat. The discussions with Vice Minister Kanat Iskakov, Deputy Chairman Anwar Khatsiev, Ambassador Bakut Dusanbayev, and Councillor Timur Akhmetshanov focused on advancing religious freedom, tackling hate speech, and exploring artificial intelligence for societal benefit. Wade Cusack comments.
The Vice Minister emphasized that Kazakhstan's choice over censorship with the progress reflected in inclusive religious freedom roundtables. Nadine Mayenza, who also was present at the meeting, highlighted the IRF Secretariat's focus on local contacts, and we agreed to expand our partnership.
Kazakhstan's commitment to freedom over censorship, along with LYNC's collaborative efforts to combat anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, set the stage for the world's first cross-cultural religious literacy program at Caspian University. And in additional partnership, Sukhsamranjit Singh and the Strauss Center for Dispute Resolution at Pepperdine Caruso Law.
We're also looking forward to next week, groundbreaking cross-cultural religious literacy program for government officials at the Kazakhstan University in Almaty, Kazakhstan.
At the conclusion of the Prague program, Kazakhstan's Vice Minister of Culture and Information, Kanat Iskakov, emphasized the country's commitment to combating Islamophobia and fostering multi-faith cohesion.
I am confident that outcome on the event will further affirm our commitment to fighting Islamophobia and radical ideology.
Before leaving Prague, LYNC CEO Wade Cusack took a moment to share the three-day event's successes.
What made this event more special was seeing delegations from Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan join the discussions for the first time, which is a big step forward for our partnership. On the top of that, it was so rewarding to witness how the work we began in Central Asia, promoting religious freedom and social cohesion, has grown to make an impact beyond the region. The model we developed perfectly fit the conference themes, showing how practical solutions inspired by covenantal pluralism initiatives can complement global conversations.
And just a side note that we'll provide a detailed segment on the cross-cultural religious literacy program in our next episode of LYNC Radio. So stay tuned for that. Up next, we turn to a thought-provoking conversation about the role of businesses in shaping social impact and advancing religious pluralism. After the break, Dr. Eva Witesman shares her insights on how corporations can go beyond profit to become powerful agents of peace building and cohesion in communities worldwide. Want to dive deeper into the world of religious freedom building and helping marginalized communities? Then don't miss our new video program, LYNC Interview.
Every religion is a persecuted minority somewhere.
In every episode, we bring you stories and insights from the experts making a difference.
We like to think about religious persecution as some problem that's over in Asia or the Middle East. It's not in Europe, it's not in America. But here's the simple truth, we're all human.
Join me, Jessica Eturralde, as I sit down with inspiring voices from around the world working in religious freedom building.
The main lesson for mainstream society would be to think twice before assuming that religious radicals are necessarily a problem for social flourishing and stability.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel or visit lyncommunity.org and click on the Media tab.
When we support international religious freedom, we are not just upholding a principle. We are protecting our interests, our security, and our values.
I'm not loving my neighbor unless I love them in a language and logic that they understand.
Catch every episode of LYNC Interview. Get inspired, get involved, and together, let's foster more cohesive and safe societies. LYNC Interview is a platform by Love Your Neighbor community designed to explore the intersections of faith, society, and policy through in-depth conversations with thought leaders, experts, and practitioners. The series focuses on fostering dialogue around critical issues such as religious freedom, social cohesion, and peace building, while highlighting actionable solutions and inspiring stories from around the world. And in our latest LYNC Interview episode, I had the privilege to engage Dr. Eva Witesman, professor at Brigham Young University's Marriott School of Business, who specializes in public management, pro-social business, and public values, with a focus on how businesses can drive social impact and foster religious freedom. Dr. Witesman highlighted the significant, yet often overlooked, role of corporations as active participants in public and social spaces. Recognizing businesses as social spaces brings issues like religious pluralism and freedom into focus, highlighting their relevance to corporate practices and stakeholder relationships.
It's that conversation where the idea of religious freedom fits in to this larger narrative about what business is and what business does. I mean, if you think about it, people spend about a third of their day engaged with their own workplace, and a huge fraction of the rest of their day engaging with other companies and corporations. This is a very public space, and it has huge influence and impact on the lives of people and the expression that people have.
Witesman calls for collaboration between civil society, governments, and businesses to leverage corporate influence for peace building and sustainable development, especially in conflict and post-conflict context.
Anytime you're gathering any group of people to talk about a region, and a lot of times religious freedom conversations are based on specific regions where you may experience religious conflict, and those tensions run high. It's natural to want to bring in the religious leaders because, if we can broker a peace between the religious leaders, they can share that conversation with the people that they lead. It's natural to bring in NGOs that we sort of automatically think about being engaged in the work of peace and peacemaking and peace building and stability. And it's natural to bring in governments whose policies and discourse really shape that public landscape. If you're in a conversation like that with those entities and there aren't the relevant business leaders in that conversation, that is an immediate opportunity. And what you're going to look for is the business leaders of influence. So people who are employing a lot of the people on one side or the other of a conflict. In some cases, folks on both sides, right? So you want to think about who the employers are. You might also want to think about who are prominent business leaders that might be affiliated with one group or the other. These figures, these business leaders have tremendous influence on many stakeholder groups. And so engaging them in those conversations and working with them to find language and practices that can matter for a specific community is an automatic venue for sort of changing this dynamic.
In this interview, Dr. Witesman highlights the need to move beyond viewing businesses as solely profit-driven entities, recognizing them instead as value-driven social spaces capable of shaping public discourse and promoting pluralism. You don't want to miss this value-packed interview, which is free and available to you on LYNC's YouTube channel. I will also include a link in our show notes. You have been listening to LYNC Radio. Just a quick reminder that we depend on listeners like you to like, subscribe, and share this program. If this program has given value to you today, please take this quick and simple action. None of us can do this work alone, but we are strong together. I'm Jessica Eturralde. Thanks for listening.